Duncan had multiple options for his future presented to him in this episode, and he clearly chose the worst one. What was the best offer he got?
Egg was gonna kill his brother. Heck, the prophecy said when he died, everybody will celebrate. How evil will Egg become?
And after so much death, how will Lord Ashford be able to unload any of the remaining merch from this tourney?
We'll answer all those questions and more on this episode of the Joffrey Podcast.
I've been very busy. Many important matters require a king's attention. I'm king now. King now. I am king. I am king. I am kiss it. I am kiss it again when I return. Your fingers or your king doesn't fingers discuss your battle plan. Stupid girls. Your fingers or your tongue. I am the king. I'm telling mother.
Welcome to the Joffrey Podcast. My name's Bubba, and with me, as always, is someone who proves that the gods don't favor a fool. It's Catfish.
Bubba, it is a pleasure to once again share podcasts with someone who I've also shared a fatty with while listening to jazz.
Hey, guys, we are bringing down the final episode of Season 1, Episode 6 of Adina of the Seven Kingdoms, entitled Morrow. The people of Ashford mourn a significant loss after the tournament. Dunk reflects on his future and reevaluates his responsibilities toward Egg. He decides whether to keep the boy as his squire. On this podcast, we're going to play our classic match games. We're going to talk about all the characters, debate how everything ended up, plus a special, very mild spoiler section at the very end of this podcast.
Okay.
Catfish, it's the last episode. You've been incredibly in love with this season. Did it stick the landing? What is your rating for episode 6?
I'm going to say it mostly did, because I'm going to give this 9 out of 10 what I like to call double M's.
Double M's?
Yeah, double M's are what he referred to as maladroit maesters. That's if a maester's like, you know what, this guy's going to die any minute, and you're actually completely fine, apparently. They are really, Bubba, they really took to heart the Game of Thrones motto of penultimate episode, action, 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 ultimate episode, no action, almost no action, and slightly setting up things for next season. And Bubba, the conversation that I found so important, and this is I'm already blowing what my favorite scene is going to be, between Dunk and Maker, when Dunk actually places value on himself needing his arm or leg because he now believes that he, a lowly hedge knight, could use his limbs to do something of worth that might even be worth more than a prince's life. And so this is the point here. This is the lesson he needed to learn. He doesn't go full dickish about it. My pinky is worth more than your brother's life. He's sorry that it happened, but he's starting to come around to like, I can do some good in this world, and I don't need any of those trappings. We also finally have answer to the question that the showrunners, and only the showrunners, care about. No one else gives a crap whether Dunk was actually a knight. Now we know that he wasn't. Big whoop is all I have to say about that. At least they'll no longer tease us with this. This was emotional, was heartbreaking. It could have been a little bit more. I was more kind of heartbroken at the end of the last episode, so I thought it was an awesome episode. But I don't know. I felt like there was something missing for it as far as like more emotion of we're going to lose these two, and then they're back together. Maybe because they were back together was so short. So there was something that was just a little like I thought this one didn't go to 11, Bubba, so I stopped it at 9. All right. Still very good. Very looking forward to next season. Bubba, what did you think of the final episode of season 1 of the Night of the 7 or 9 Kingdoms?
7, 9. Let me tell you, Catfish, all season long, I've been rating the episodes just like 1 digit lower than yours.
Or 1.5, yeah.
You've been so tough on me.
Appropriately.
And listeners probably to this podcast probably want some rating consistency. Last week had some thrilling edge of your seat action, some oh my God moments, and I only went 8 out of 10. This week didn't have any oh my God moments outside of Raymond. After one night, you're getting married, dude? Come on. But
Hey, listen, if you can get her pregnant in one night, why not?
hey, baby, put the apple in the barrel. But for whatever reason, I thought last week the flashback did make the episode not work as a whole. This, it didn't have those thrilling highs, but I think this did work great as a whole. So I'm giving it the exact same rating you gave it. I'm giving it 9 double R's out of 10.
Absolutely. Double R's. Moving on. Wait, double R's?
The Royal Roast. Once the Royal Roast is over, Lionel Baratheon's ready to get the hell out of Ashford, baby. Guys, I did laugh and love Raymond marrying Red. Who cares what her job used to be? You don't need to know. Who cares if their spouse has a deep, dark secret? It's fine. We've been pointing her out.
It's not that deep. It's right there in her belly, Bubba.
How about Lady Gwyn? We've been talking about her all season long as like, God, my birthday sucks. And she's like, hey, buddy, I don't care that you killed the prince. I don't even care that you ruined my birthday. Priorities. I love it. Dunk, he begins the series. He's like, I want to impress some people and get taken on by a great house. He gets 2 offers here at the end. 2 offers. He can go with Lionel and have fun hawking, baby. Or he can go with the royal damn family, man, and live the high life. And he said, peace out. This was a great ending, a great series. We're going to get season 2 next year, 1 year between series. This is incredible. Now, the one thing I've been thinking about all this time, Catfish, is the very first podcast, and kind of my thought about this novella for the longest time is, boy, this should really be a movie. And you and I debated, hey, should this be a movie? Hey, it's 6 half-hour episodes. That's fine. At the end, 6 half-hour episodes have been great. Now, there's still a part of me that way back when, at the end of episode 2, in our podcast on episode 2, Catfish, I asked you, where do you think this story's going? And I love you had this line. I remember it still. You said, man, I don't see any way Dunk could win this tournament. And, of course, I remember the story, so I'm like, yeah, no, the tournament doesn't really have anything to do with the end of this story. So a part of me is like, well, you still could have made a movie and maybe not had the bit of a fake out with the audience. Like, oh, Dunk's going to go to the tourney. How he's going to go in the tourney. It doesn't matter. 6 episodes. They were all fun. I'm so glad we had it. Thank you, HBO. Thanks, George Martin. Thanks, Ira Parker, everybody. It was fun.
I mean, I think for people who are enthusiastic and want to see more fantasy, more from George R.R. Martin, this is the way you have to do it. You build, and it built, and it built, and it built. And Bubba,
yeah.
I mean, this show was beating the Pit.
Whoa.
For God's sakes. In viewers. It is beating the Pit, which is last year's phenomenon, winning Emmys, the whole thing. And this show
what if they have a crossover and the maester who says that Dunk's dead, he goes to the Pit? How many of those people in Pittsburgh are just going to die? Similarly, could the people from the Pit, they're like, hey, we got a new patient in. He had his skull crushed in inside this helm. We've got to save Prince Baelor. There we go. Crossover. Let's make it happen.
I love it. I love it. A Pit of the 7 Kingdoms.
9 kingdoms. Hell yeah.
I'm telling Mother.
Guys, thank you so much. It's the end of this podcasting journey on A Night of the 7 Kingdoms for season 1. Listeners, you have been wonderful on joining us on this journey. Thanks for putting up with all of our silliness. Anytime we ask you guys to do anything, whether it's to give us comments, to give us reviews on our audio podcasts, Spotify and Apple Podcasts, to like the video, to leave comments on social media, you guys have been great. And it's been great to watch this great show with our double L's.
Double L's?
Our loyal listeners, man.
Oh, my God. I forgot. It's been an entire week.
Catfish, well, it may be more than a week when we're back with another podcast, because we've been talking all this time. We know House of the Dragon Season 3 is coming in June of 2026. But all these other shows, we always do Silo Season 3, Only Murders in the Building Season 6, Slow Horses Season 6, Babylon Berlin Season 5. We don't have an actual release date for any of them. In House of the Dragon in June, I'm going to be in Europe in the beginning of June. HBO, throw us a bone. Give us a date, baby. Give us a date.
Well, Bubba, then I guess the only date we have is for maybe the next thing we're going to podcast about, and that is the Mando and Grogu movie, because that is May 22nd, baby.
Okay. Is Mando Dunk and Grogu's egg? Or who's Aryan? The Hutts, Jabba the Hutt's Aryan, sure thing. Yeah, hey, please give us comments. Tell us what you've thought of season 1 of Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and tell us what you're looking forward to. Catfish, I'm going to tease real quickly the spoiler section at the end of the podcast.
Whoa. You can't. You're going to do a non-spoilery tease spoiler?
A tease spoiler. Number one, our spoiler sections never go into details. We're not going to say, season 2 covers blank, 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 and blank. But we are going to talk about things how this series, Dunk and Egg, their adventures, is a bit like George R.R. Martin's version of J.K. Rowling's version of Fantastic Beasts. And we'll talk about that in the spoiler section. We'll tell you which of the characters here from season 1 are going to appear in the next couple of seasons. We're going to say which 2 surviving members of Team Dunk will in the future battle against each other in a trial by combat. We're going to talk more about the Blackfire Rebellion and how it really takes over the next 2 novels. We're going to speculate about that. I know. We're going to speculate about the Fortune Teller's Prophecy, and we're going to have some incredibly crazy speculation. Now, this isn't from the books, but kind of from auxiliary materials about who from this season in the future, little Lady Gwyn Ashford, who this was her name day, this tournament was for, seems like she's going to marry somebody who was at this tournament, and we're going to have Catfish guess if he can figure out who she's going to marry in the future.
Wow.
So that's at the end of the pod. Catfish.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts, because it's coming up on June, on the teaser for House of the Dragon Season 3 that just came out?
We can't cover that on this show. We have to do a frame-by-frame review of that trailer. The Joffrey podcast infamous frame-by-frame review of a trailer, Bubba. So, all I will say was it seemed to be missing 2 very important things.
Let's hear it.
Dunk and Egg.
Yes, listeners, be sure. This may be an audio podcast only. We'll have to see of our famous frame-by-frame breakdown coming up. For me, I'm always tough, it feels like, on my House of the Dragon reviews, but I really enjoy that show. I think it's done pretty well through 2 seasons, so I thought the teaser, it gets you excited. It gets you excited for the action that this show, Dunk and Egg, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, hasn't quite had. Catfish also coming up in 2026. There's going to be a stage play called The Mad King. Any thoughts on this Game of Thrones stage play, which is going to tell the story of the tournament at Harrenhal, the thing which, according to the show, happened 17 years before the original series, Game of Thrones? Any thoughts on going to Stratford-on-Avon, Catfish, to see this?
Well, I will only go if I get to be in the splash zone. Listeners may not know that Bubba and I got to go to see a live version of Reanimator. And there was a splash zone for that show. We were not in it, but hey.
The play also takes place at a tournament, so you could get splashed with horse guts. Who knows what would fall out? I thought you were going to say, what was the play we saw at the recreation of Shakespeare's Globe there on the Thames? What was that play we saw there? Do you remember? What Shakespeare play did we see there? Gentleman from Verona? What did we see?
I thought it was As You Like It. I can't remember, but of course the hilarious thing about that is perhaps the reason Bubba and I can't remember is because we were staying with his aunt out of the city, so we had to skip out of the play at intermission so we could catch a train to get back home.
Hell yeah!
However, Bubba, we did on our last night go see the horsey play
Warhorse
where we probably saw Jon Snow.
Kit Harington. Yeah, Kit Harington. That was his big break, was playing in Warhorse in London. And we saw it and we thought, man, Kit Harington who? Look at the puppet. Joey.
I'm telling Mother.
Hey, what do you guys think? Are you excited about a play about the Mad King and the tournament at Harrenhal? Are you excited for House of the Dragon Season 3? You know what we're going to ask you to do. Go down and leave us a comment. And we love hearing from you so much. It is time for our final pour one out for the first match game of this final episode. Raymond, okay, a bit lower there on the music.
Okay.
Raymond Fossaway is thinking of expanding the family cider business, but mostly he and his wife, Lady Rowan, will blank.
Okay, and then I get to do it again. For those of you listening for the first time, think of your answers.
Raymond Fossaway is thinking of expanding the family cider business, but mostly he and his wife, Lady Rowan, will blank.
Make babies that aren't his.
Wait, how will he do that? I understand how she'll do that.
Well,
Okay, let's see if we can get any match. Read it for me, Catfish.
all right, Bubby, here we go. Raymond Fossaway is thinking of expanding the family cider business, but mostly he and his wife, Lady Rowan, will
Plant seeds.
Oh.
Here comes Raymond. Got apple seed. Got now the Tourney seed. Okay, let's see if we can get any matches. Here we go. Our good friend, the person who inspired us to do podcasts, our forefather, Double M Matt Murdoch, said, mostly Raymond and his wife will
Produce a long line of mostly green grapes.
green apples, mostly green apples. Thank
Green
you.
grapes, green apples. I keep saying grapes. I blew the whole thing. All right, Bubba, as we say, and your old buddy Bucho at
Here we
Fist
go.
of Bucho says he and his wife, Lady Rowan, will mix a bit of red back into those green apples. I think that's a match with Matthew Murdoch.
Hello. How about this one? I love this from J Watts _96 on Twitter. He said Raymond and his wife, he didn't even answer the blank. He just looked at lovely Lady Rowan and he wrote, it should have been me, not him.
Hey, I don't blame him. All right, and
Get ready.
Link Hogthrob at Link Hogthrob says they will enjoy a nice hot Dickens cider.
Hello, but get ready for Jack Klompus at BTMac11 on Twitter. He said he and his wife will put the dick in Dickens cider.
Yes.
Terrible.
All right, Bubba, and
Here we
hold
go.
the bell for you because Nicole at Night with Wolf Nim says they will produce little seedlings.
Hell yeah, Dooley's left legs on Twitter. He and his wife will expand his newly found seed producing equipment. Hello.
Oh, and Nicholas Fortuna said they will keep producing applesauce.
Wipe out after yourself there. Hamlet is dead. Hamlet is dead on Blue Sky said Raymond and his wife will pluck some more apples.
All right, and Mr. Bill's Mafia, Ab Revere Terry says they'll be laying down some cider house rules.
Okay, now here's a new person, Al Brooks, 2010.
Now look, I just appreciate it when someone just goes a completely different direction. So he says, he says that Raymond Fossaway and his wife, Lady Rowan, will die of syphilis.
No spoilers, Al Brooks. How could you? How could you? And of
All right,
course,
yes, our old friend, our co-conspirator, Pat Man Spinago at Patman says that Raymond and his wife will have sex. Look, not every answer should be a euphemism. But have you never
there you
said
go.
that? That's a wrong. Every answer should be a euphemism.
hell yeah. Pat Man, excellent as always. Come on now. Make whoopee, as my buddy Gene Rayburn would say.
Exactly. Rest in whoopee, Gene.
Of course, green grapes there, Catfish. Good work. All right. So, Catfish, you've already spoiled it, but why don't you go
I did.
deeper? At this part of the podcast, we always talk about our
Just like Raymond.
our favorite scene in the podcast. Catfish, talk about it. Why was it your favorite?
Well, you know what? And again, I think this is why I ding this episode a little bit. It really feels like that, and we've had so many of them, that the best scene of the episode should have been between Dunk and Egg. Now, Egg does manage to get some Pouty Prince lines on him, some zingers off him, but it wasn't the best. However, it was still very cool for Dunk after he's been through all this, had his feelings about honor, where he comes to the point where he says, "Look, people are going to blame me, but what else was I going to do? I am a person who can better this realm." And like I said, he's not. He's not like super like I'm better than you. You Targaryens are trash. But he does feel like he can do something even if he hasn't been knighted, just because there's an honor code that Sir Arlen Pennytree had, and basically that's the only thing that Dunk can carry through, because there's some things that Arlen was equipped to do that Dunk is not.
Once again, I went 9 out of 10 because I thought every scene was pretty solid. My funniest scene, my favorite laugh, was the lady of the evening coming out of Raymond's tent and being like, "Hey, nice to meet you, Sir Duncan. Hey." That made me laugh. But my actual favorite scene, Catfish, you're right, there was no action in this episode at all. We often talk about, oh, that episode was slow, that episode was slow. This episode wasn't slow, but it was kind of all of a piece. So the one scene that I really loved was Egg grabbing a knife and going to pay his brother, who's passed out, injured, a visit. And Arian always threatened to do it, but do we ever think Arian actually entered Egg's bedroom with a knife? Like, Egg is actually going further than this is. Now, of course, he says Arian killed his cat, so maybe he's not, but like...
This is heavy duty, and you are completely right, Bubba, that this is... It's interesting because we've talked about how sweet and everything Egg is, and between this and him really trying to knight shame Dunk, we do see some different stuff from him.
Yeah, very intense. But then, who's there waiting in the bedroom? Possibly. I mean, there's no way he could have been waiting, expecting Egg to enter with a knife. But still in there was, and his brother, Mikkel. And that was just a great reveal. It's like, oh, hey, Dad, hey.
I don't have anything here. The other thing that scene was great, but it also, I feel like the way they cut the scene in front of us, where it seemed like there was more to go, I was still thinking about how weird the previous scene ended to really focus on this scene.
No, I understand that.
Because it does seem like there was more to that story. I mean, of course, they cut on that he liked to fish, and then we see the fish. So I mean, there's a nice symmetry there, but it still would have been a little bit nice for Daeron to say, like, yeah, he was a good kid, but it'd be a little bit more explicit about, like, how he ended up the way that he is.
Let me ask you. Mm-hmm. Is it possible that Egg was turning towards darkness because he realized that he had gotten a bad haircut? Like he puts his hand up, he sees how the little stubble, and he's like, damn it, I got a bad haircut. It's time to take my anger out on the world.
Listen, Bubba, you, unlike me, you have never had experience shaving your head. Just for look. And let me tell you something.
Yeah.
The worst part is like the 5 weeks that it is growing out before you can get a regular cut.
Oh, man, that is terrible.
It's not good looking. It's not good looking at all, Bubba. So he had some trauma.
Let me ask you this, Catfish. Did you want Egg to get some revenge on Arian, his brother? Or were you hoping something would stop him because you don't want this sweet little boy to, kind of take a real dark turn?
I mean, I don't know. How dark of a turn is it?
His brother is completely evil, but he is incapacitated out and passed out on the bed, right? Like,
okay. All right, so you're saying
okay.
So you're saying it would have been more reasonable if it was a fair fight with Arian? I mean, I don't think Egg's going to have a chance in a fair fight.
Well, hold on.
This is his best shot.
Catfish, you're so evil. Maybe you and Egg need to be together with your evil, wicked ways. Oh my gosh.
I'm just saying, like they say, to make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs.
I'm telling Mother.
Catfish, we always go to this section where we talk about, you and I both read the novella, but you don't remember any of the particulars of it. Did you, let's kind of go big picture first. Did you know that despite kind of being faked out twice, that Egg and Dunk would end up together? Because the show wants you to think, you know, the first time when Dunk says, I think I'm over, done with princes for now. And then later when he's like, listen, you know, I want your son to come with me and sleep in hedges and eat hard-salt beef. And then Maker's like, he's my last son. Like, did you always know and remember that these two, great pair were going to be together at the end?
I mean, I've even been speculating it, at least on the last podcast and maybe earlier ones, like, how the heck are these two going to stay together? Because we know they go on more adventures together. It's not that they're split up and they rejoin, that they're going to go on more adventures together. And I assume most people watching the show, or at least the majority of people watching the show, knew that there was more to come in this story. So...
Okay, well, listeners, if you haven't read the novellas, if you didn't know, I would love to hear from you. Because the show is just titled, it's not titled Dunk and Egg, and there's some great interviews out there as to why they didn't call it Dunk and Egg. George R.R. Martin thought that title would really sounded more like Laverne and Shirley, like a straight comedy. And so he said, you can do my novellas, but whatever you do, don't title them Dunk and Egg.
I just thought people would be upset because they would assume that it was a show about breakfast, and then they'd be upset when it wasn't.
Right. Dunkin' Donuts, scrambled eggs, the American breakfast of champions.
Dunk your toast and an egg. That's it, yeah.
Listeners, if you have not read the novella, I'd love to know if you thought there was a chance it would just be Dunk going off on his own. He had this adventure with a prince, and now he's off on his own adventure. Please.
I mean, if they were, I'm sure they would have been on a little bit more pins and needles than I was in my favorite scene, where you think like, oh, okay, this could work. Even me not knowing that they go off alone, that who knows, I thought maybe there's a chance this will work out, and then still they'll kind of go off on their own adventure, but at least they'll start this way. So they did give us several, again, as I said, they gave, Dunk had several options to choose, and he chose the absolute. They were like 1A and 1B, and he chose 47.
Well, listen, screw the 1%. He hates them, I could go live with the prince or, the Lord of Storm's End in the Stormlands. Nah, I'd rather sleep underneath a tree. Later, losers.
I'm telling Mother.
And that brings us to the immoral dilemma, where we talk about some of these questions, Catfish.
Let's do it.
Let's start off with, what were your thoughts of Lionel Baratheon's incredibly anti-Targ diss? The only good dragon is a dead dragon. Baylor risked nothing. Yeah, sure, he's dead, and his brains were bashed in fighting for you, but he risked nothing. What are your thoughts on Lionel's really anti-royal take here, Catfish?
He's completely wrong about Baylor risking nothing. I mean, you go into a fight, you never know what's going to happen. Clearly, Baylor was risking something. Who knew that it was going to be his own brother deciding to just bash his damn head in? We sort of don't investigate too much more of that in the show. Maker knows he's going to get in trouble for it, but it's not like he never provides a justification like, I thought his helmet was better or something like that. He just, I did it.
Well, I think we do see it in the episode, and it was one of those swings right before or right after he was screaming, my boy, my boy. I was trying to knock these people off me who were preventing me from getting to my son Arion.
All right.
And I just swung too hard. I mean, that's what he says. Do you think, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
We talked about this last week, the royal line of succession. Before Baylor met this tragic end. I mean, Arion was not close. Arion, before Baylor passed, Maker was, where was he here?
He was like
seventh in line.
Seventh,
no, he was seventh in line to the throne.
Because Arion was 10th, yeah.
So would you would you really knock somebody? Would you really kill your brother to move up from 7th to 6th? Would you even consider it? Even in the back of your mind, like, boy, I just got to get rid of 6 people.
I mean, at least he's got a back of the mind to still consider it, unlike Baelor.
No, the catfish.
All right, so I disagree with him that that Baelor risked nothing. But
Okay.
look, people are tired of these Targs. They are tired.
They are.
They're Targ tired. So you know what? I got to go with him. Is the only good dragon a dead dragon? Correct.
Whoa, listeners, what do you think? I mean, that's pretty cold. Egg is a dragon, but is he better, not being around the castles and almost not being a dragon out on the road? We shall find out, theoretically, in the next few seasons of this show. Now, Catfish, we're going to get into speculation corner here. It's not really an immoral dilemma, even though it's in this section. Some viewers are asking, is Lionel Baratheon supposed to be gay? He's been partying it up, but he's never been partying it up with a woman, right? In any of his scenes, he dances with Dunk, not with a lady. And at the end, he really wants Dunk to come live with him. Is there any chance that Lionel wants Dunk because he's like, oh, big boy, I like you? Didn't he even spank Dunk's butt? He was like, good job on the tug of war. Any thoughts, Catfish? What do you think?
I mean, I'm not saying that it's completely unreasonable that he wants him. I mean, Dunk is he's a hunk of dunk. So, I mean, seems fine. But I just wonder. So people are asking about Lionel Baratheon, but no one's asking about Raymond and his super long hug of Dunk.
Super long hug. Hey, I bought your horse for you.
Listen, I think people just like being around Dunk. I mean, look, Baratheon's, he's like, look, come, we'll have fun, we'll have a great time, I love you like a brother. And then he's like, all right, well, whatever, F you. Just come, I'll hate you like a brother. Whatever, it doesn't matter. You're a brother. So I think, I again, it doesn't seem unreasonable for people to think that, but also Lionel Baratheon just likes he likes guys with spunk. You know what? Maybe I'm now maybe I'm now forwarding that notion. All right, that's fine.
Hey, how about this? Raymond Fossaway and Lady Rowan. I should point out this actress's first name is Rowan, so. Raymond Fossaway and Lady Rowan, can they have a successful marriage if it's built on a lie?
Which lie is that, Bubba?
She probably hasn't told Raymond why she came to the tourney. If she's actually pregnant, it is maybe lower odds that it's Raymond's and somebody else's. What do you think? Let me say, throughout this episode, they seem really cute together, even when she teases him about how the bees hang out in Beesbury's coffin. Any thoughts? What do you think? Can they have a successful marriage built on a lie?
Sure. These people, sure. Why not? I mean, look, Raymond. We've hung out with Raymond. He just needs a good lady. And look, if she's just like, look, this is a good looking dude. He's a little bit of a sucker, but I'll treat him nice. Look, the very first thing we see is she's emptying his piss pan.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool. That's cool. She's like taking care of stuff. So look, they can have a completely fine marriage.
All right. Heck yeah. Let's get them a present. What's on their wedding list? Let's do it. Catfish. Let's hear it. You got 2 choices. This was your question at the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah.
Which would you do? Which is the moral choice? You, as Dunk, came to this tourney. We've said it. You came because you wanted to impress people, make a name, and get in the service of a noble house.
Yeah.
Would you really be selling out to the man, if you were, almost like the 16 tons on the Erie Canal song, if you went to live and party and have fun with Sir Lionel Baratheon?
Right. So you've got Lionel Baratheon, which is, eat and drink and be merry and die, which personally, that would be my choice, but I can see why Dunk wouldn't go for that choice. That I think would be selling out, but I don't think it would be selling out to join the Targaryens. Okay, so some of them have been bad, but if he gets to be trained as a real knight, then he can actually join up with houses and do good things.
Yeah. No, I
If
think.
indeed they do any good things.
Well, hold on. For all as terrible as his relationship with Arian is, Arian, as his father said, is being sent to the Free Cities. He's not going to be around. Dunk has always had a problem with Darren, the oldest son, because he was a drunk and because he lied about him. And even in this episode, he's like, what are you doing here at the funeral for these guys who your lies helped kill? But it doesn't seem like he really actually hates Darren, right? Darren the drunken. He doesn't hate him. He likes Egg. And even Maker and he have kind of some back and forths, but, you can see Maker is not his son Arian, right? Like he has some thoughts. He's like, listen, my son likes you. I'll bring you into my house. I'm obviously not an insane guy there. I don't want my son to live as a peasant, but when I say he's my last boy, you can tell that this is a good family. Why not go with the Targaryens? Why not do it?
I completely listen. Just because you like sleeping under a tree and hard tech. Look, Maker's right about that. Egg is going to completely. He's not going to stop complaining about the hard beef.
No, Eddie. Remember, he said trees leak. Yeah, he's not going to complain about that either. So my question at the beginning of this podcast was about Egg. He was, we don't know what would have happened if his father hadn't stopped him. But he did bring a knife into his brother's bedroom. He did approach his brother's bed with the knife. We've heard the prophecy of the witch who said, hey, buddy, you're going to be king, but when you die, everybody's going to be happy you're dead. Are we going to see another show? Listeners, this is speculation. This really hasn't been written. There's speculation, but are we going to need to see another show like Daenerys, like possibly Rhaenyra in House of the Dragon? Are we going to see another show where a Targaryen we like, as their close to absolute power, gets corrupted absolutely? How evil could little Egg turn, Catfish? What do you
Well,
think?
that's the thing. I mean, if he's going to be Breaking Bad, that'll be fascinating to see, because what people love about the show is the relationship between the two of them and that it's a fun and light show. So if we're going to start to see, and yet we do, like you just said, we have all these hints that, that Egg is not going to stay cute and adorable and non-murdery for very long. So that'll be an interesting, if they try to make that transition during this show, that'll be interesting. Bubba, I don't think it's too much of a be a spoiler if I were to ask you,
Sure.
because we all know that 3 of these books are out. Supposedly George R.R. Martin had ideas for like 14 more.
Yeah.
In the books, are there hints that there's sort of a change in Egg, or do they retain their sort of funny whatever? Egg, as Dunk said, Egg's a good kid. He just needs to be knocked around occasionally.
Good clout on the ear. All right,
Yeah.
listeners, I don't think this is as much of a spoiler either, but feel free to jump forward 1 minute as I answer it right now.
Okay.
There are 3 novellas written. In these novellas, Egg, even though there's it feels like a year to 2 year kind of gap between the first one and the second one, and then maybe at the most a year between the second and the third, Egg in the 3 written novellas is still a kid, still sweet. I don't think there are any signs that I see in these novellas that Egg could have a dark turn.
Well, I mean, it's funny because you kind of expect it in a Game of Thrones, and also, yeah, but it would be tough to do and maintain kind of what's going on in this show.
I'm telling
All right,
Mother.
Bubba, we've got to do the song of Ice Cold and Fire, aka Dunking on Duck. And you know what, Bubba, in the past this has been like funny stuff, and I was like, oh, there's not too much funny tonight, but then I forgot that really the focus is dunking on Dunk, and there was a hell of a lot of dunking on Dunk
Yes,
tonight.
there was. Good. He put this hedge knight back in his hedge.
Lionel, when he says, I love you like a brother, hate you like a brother, that was fun. Dunk, when he's talking to Makar, he says, might there be a Morrow when the realm will need that foot more than a prince's life? And Maker says, not bloody likely. The realm has many hedge knights as hedges.
Ugh.
And Aegon, being a double P,
Double P.
pouty prince, after Dunk leaves his first talk with Maker, and he says, maybe you're not the knight I thought you were. It's the first time I ever wanted to smack Egg. And then near the end of the episode, when Egg says, there are 9 kingdoms, and Dunk says, are you mad? And Egg says, is that relevant?
Hello, foreshadowing the bad egg.
And then more of this Targaryen trashing. The kids at the end, and so I'm so glad when I put on the subtitles, because one of the kids says, do you yield, dragon whore? And the other one says, eat shit. But for me, Bubba,
there's
the
one more?
the best of this episode and the season was what I like to call the double M.
Double M?
Yeah, mocking Martin, and that is George R.R. Martin taking the piss out of George with the line when Sir Arlen Pennytree temporarily comes back to life to say, a true knight always finishes a story. Oh, in your face, George R.R. Martin. I'm picking that one for the song of Ice Cold for the episode and the season, Bubba. All right, which one will you take?
Well,
when you put it, unless you take that.
No, when you put it like that, this just proves Martin has never been knighted. Ouch! Ice cold, ice cold, right in the back. I let you produce a show based on my novella, and you just stabbed me right in the back. Oh, I love it.
I'm telling
All
Mother.
right, Bubba. So we've got to cover the champion of the week.
Champion of the week.
Who won this week? Bubba, I'm going to go first. It was clearly, we've been calling her the friendly red-headed whore.
Yes.
And
wait, she was your champion last week, Kevin.
That's right, she was, Bubba. But if someone is called the friendly red-headed whore, and then the week after that her name is Lady Fossaway, she's winner,
won.
Bubba.
She has won this week.
A winner.
She has won this week without question. Without question. Okay, how about this? I will go slightly off track. Do you know, if you are Valar, we haven't even talked about him. I thought that was a pretty good scene. The character only began speaking in this episode, was really kind of like a background character the other 2 times he appeared in the show. But Valar, he gets a scene where he's the focus after his dad's funeral. And he's like, dude, my dad died in my armor. Isn't that a bit weird? Sons are supposed to die in their dad's armor. The fact that he has all this tragedy, he is going to get so much sympathy. He is going to get so much love. People are always like, oh, I hate the prince. I hate the spoiled prince. Valar, now, he's going to be the realm's delight, just like Rhaenyra was, of people feeling sorry for him because his dad, he gone. I'm giving
Are you
Valar,
saying that he might be the father of a bouncing new Fossaway in a few months? Is that the kind of sympathy he's getting?
Right. What if old she's like, I'll give you the funeral discount. I mean,
I'm telling Mother.
Okay.
All right, Bubba.
Terrible.
That was so bad we have to move on to our next serious thing, which is Match Game 2. All right, here we go, Bubba.
Yeah.
Egg claims there are 9 kingdoms in the realm, but there are actually 10. The last kingdom is blank.
Listeners, think of your answers. See if you can match us or one of the Match Game panelists.
All right, Bubba, here you go. Egg claims there are 9 kingdoms in the realm, but there are actually 10. The last kingdom is...
a show on Netflix about Uhtred, son of Uhtred, and we podcast on it.
Yeah. All right, Bubba, hit me up.
Ready?
I'm going to go with mine. Yep.
Egg claims there are 9 kingdoms in the realm, but actually there are 10. The last kingdom is...
the one where George finished all 7 books.
So it's a fantasy, for sure. How cold.
He's there by himself. He can't get those books out.
Oh, here we go. Another new person giving us some feedback on Blue Sky. Ashley, who's at True Story Dezu on Blue Sky, said the last kingdom is where you load 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. Catfish, what did you think about this song at the end of the episode? You like... It had jazz, like jazz.
Jazz at the beginning. I didn't know what was going on. Lady Catfish loved the jazz at the beginning, so there you go. But the 16 tons, I didn't know what they were going for there, Bubba. No idea. All right, let's keep going on.
Yeah.
There are 10 kingdoms. The last kingdom is, Matthew Murdoch says, a magical place seldom found by wandering knights. A place where jazz musicians and Tennessee Ford coexist peacefully. Seriously, it's real. That's gotta be a bell. I love it.
Hell yeah, great work. Double M and Ashley matching on Blue Sky. Our good buddy Link Hog Throb on Blue Sky. This is ice cold, Catfish. You may have to read this one. I'll set you up.
Yeah, good.
There are actually 10 kingdoms. The last kingdom is...
Your mom. Total bullshit, as there are only 7 kingdoms wherever Egg and Dunk are.
Oh, how sweet. Your mom, Link, how could you? All right, how about our good friend Gen X Cat Mom said the last kingdom is in a galaxy far, far away. Oh, everybody's going, wait a minute, look at this.
Good.
Look at this. Not a match, but very close. Pat Spinagle at Batman on Blue Sky said the last kingdom is Oz. These women are not chaff.
Not chaff.
Very
All right,
good.
Cam Shea, very good. We've always wondered where this was. And Cam Shea says the 10th kingdom is west of Westeros.
Hell yeah, we know what's out there. Nicole Nightwolf Nim on Blue Sky says the 10th kingdom is where Sir Arlen now rests. Oh, now that's sweet. That's pretty sweet.
Man.
Very good. Thank you, Nicole. That's a good one.
All right, and now, so let's switch it up with Nick Fortuna, who says the 10th kingdom is going to be revealed in the Winds of Winter, coming spring of 2046.
Nick, that's pretty close to Catfish match, but I want to say you really underestimated when you said it was coming in spring of 2046. Come on, man.
And your old buddy Bucho says the 10th kingdom is 5 seasons in a movie.
Hell yeah. Where is that movie, Dan Harmon? Let's go. Hey, our good buddy Jeff Pirro on Twitter. We haven't heard from him for a while. Wait a minute. The 10th kingdom is Eternia, where He-Man lives. Oh my God, I wish I didn't know Eternia, Jeff.
Jeff's getting super excited for the He-Man movie. Mr. Bill's Mafia, Revere Terry, says the 10th kingdom is a show on Netflix. He's matching you. He loves it. Who does not love Uhtred, son of Uhtred? And Dooley's Left Legs says it's the 10th kingdom is all about Uhtred shagging Ethelred and how many times one man can bend the knee before getting arthritis. Yes!
That's some spoilers there, Dooley. Okay, now we had some people who are going to match all together. Get ready.
Okay.
The last kingdom is, according to Dr. Lundy, the Watch. The Night's Watch. Very good. The last kingdom is, according to Sergio Max, is Beyond the Wall. Very good. From Anna Elizabeth, who's at Anna Anita Benita on Twitter, I'm pretty sure, said the last kingdom is North of the Wall. Zoe Wiseman said the last kingdom is the Land of Always Winter. The Gift, the Wall. And Hamlet is Dead at Hamlet is Dead said the last kingdom is the Kingdom of the Night King. Those are all matches.
That are some all great matches. Oh, wait, I don't know why you didn't hold up the bell, Bubba, because Been Ready for the World said the 10th kingdom is D's Nuts.
We had to go out with a bang with D's Nuts. Thank you, Ben Ready for the World. Hell to the year. Okay, Catfish. We always have a kind of big picture debate. Always a big picture debate.
Yeah.
To determine which one of us, you or I, win the tourney at Ashford. But instead of a big picture debate, I think we do need to go to our final question that we haven't talked about from our pre-show tease, and that is, after so much death and destruction, how will Lord Ashford be able to sell any of this merch from his tourney? So let's hear it, Catfish. Let's hear your pitch. How is he going to get rid of these t-shirts, these beer koozies? How's he going to get rid of the tourney of Ashford merch?
Bubba, this is what I said this. I said it after last episode.
Okay.
This is like a concert. A long, long time ago. I saw Nirvana on their first tour, and it was like a little club that was like 300 people. And I'm sure of the 300 people that were there, 6,000 people said they were there. So what's going to happen is this is good. This is the long con. But to get people to like be able to say they was there, he's going to sell these limited edition. These are only final ones. He's going to sell them one by one to people who want to claim they were there. He's going to have to like distress them, stuff like that. So eventually, it's going to take a while, but eventually, Bubba, this is going to prove he's going to get this swag is going to be worth a lot more than originally.
No. Here's what I'm going to say. So, we don't sell merch on our podcast. We don't want to put our viewers through anything to help us pay for this stupid pastime of ours. But one thing they say, if you want to sell merch, you sell merch which kind of like is special inside jokes. They say if you have an inside joke and you put that on a t-shirt, it'll really sell. Like for us, it'd be, double L ? Or something. You put that on merch, it would really sell. Yeah. So what does Lord Ashford do during this tourney? I think the most important thing he did during this tourney, he should put that on a t-shirt. It would sell like gangbusters.
So just like a little nut bouncing on the floor.
Right. I picked up Arian's nuts at the Ashford tourney, and then he wins, and then he sells it. You don't think that would go?
I'm telling Mother.
I would just say,
yeah,
depending on Arian's actual injuries, that may not be a good shirt to sell.
Come on.
Depending on what Arian left behind on the field of battle.
I'm telling Mother.
Hey, we've had fun being silly. Listeners, hopefully you've put up with our silliness to get this deep into our podcast. Thank you so much. If you do have thoughts, go down in the comments and let us know. And if you are on audio podcast, we always talk about leaving the YouTube comments or reaching out on social media at WPHQ. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we used to beg for reviews all the time. And then we kind of said, we got 100 reviews. We don't need any more. We love your reviews. Go to Spotify, go to Apple Podcasts, go to whatever podcast catcher app you're using. Let everybody know you enjoy the ridiculous silliness here on the Joffrey of Podcasts.
All right, Bubba. So now we have got our best part of the show, which is feedback. And we've got some on episode 6 already. Woo. Cam Camille 23 says, great wrap up to the season. Episode 6 was basically the falling action to the climax of episode 5. Just Dunk is kind of dumb for believing Egg that his father sent him. Absolutely. I hope to get season 2 next year. 10 out of 10 for the season. Camille loved it. Yes. I loved it. Lady Catfish loved it. They are already shooting season 2, so hopefully we will get it next year.
They announced that they would. Obviously, crazy things can happen, but HBO said it's coming in 2027. Now, we got a bunch of feedback on episode 5 because that was such a powerful episode. Somebody with the user handle LLCoolT gave us this feedback. He said, given that the battle, if you read the novella, it didn't last very long in the book, maybe a paragraph or two. LLCoolT said, unlike Catfish and Bubba, I didn't mind the flashback. These episodes are short enough. Plus, the flashback gave me needed background for Sir Dunk. Well, thank you, LLCoolT. Hey, we love that you love it. Even if we had problems with it, once again, everybody's opinion is valid. Thank you so much.
All right, Tinker Bell, but with ones instead of the L, says, sorry, I usually like your videos, but making jokes about a terrible death is really tasteless. This was my least favorite episode of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I hate violence, and there was too much. I did like the flashback, though, as it was less violent. I didn't hate the episode as the violence was shown to be terrible and not heroic.
Tinkerbell, thank you. We're sorry that we were so kind of flippant in our tongue-in-cheek ways we are, but we love this feedback. And, hey, if you're a listener who is here kind of for the great fun of watching these two characters and doesn't like the violence, let us know. And Tinkerbell, I think, is a great point. A lot of times violence in Game of Thrones really isn't supposed to be heroic. It's supposed to be horrific. So thanks for that feedback.
I do. And we were both very affected by Baelor's death, just as we were affected by Joffrey's death. And yet still, we managed to keep a smile
We
going
keep
on. All right,
going.
Joel Smith said,
Joel.
fantastic episode.
All right.
Baelor's death got to me. As a good friend of mine said, in this universe, we can't have nice things.
Oh, that's sad. But thanks for that feedback, Joel. Wendy Mills, who's been giving us actually great feedback all season long, Wendy wrote, as soon as I heard the Match Game 2 question, I started to sing, he likes the nightlife, he likes to boogie. Now, Wendy does kind of maybe agree with us a bit. She said maybe the 19-minute flashback scene could have been a little shorter, but overall, I thought it was a great episode, and I cannot wait to see what goes down in the finale. Wendy, tell us what you thought of this episode. We'd love to hear.
I love it. Oh, my God. Bubba, someone that we met many, many years ago at a con, a great podcaster and person, Shakes at Shakes of Thrones at Blue Sky, said, just now listening to podcasts for this season, episode 5 made me feel like I needed some community for grief processing, and the very first place I turned to was the Joffrey of podcasts for the humor and good takes. Agree with you guys, this was a mind-blowing episode.
I know.
Sorry, she says, pun intended. But the flashback sequence was way, way too long. I wouldn't mind if it was 3 to 5 minutes long, but 19 minutes was overkill. I was also wondering what was happening in the rest of the battle. Let me see the laughing storm in action, for goodness sake. But what we did see of the battle sequence from Dunk's perspective was so entirely immersive and real that I actually forgot about the flashback business.
Oh, good.
Oh, and when you guys mentioned the lineup of heirs for the Iron Throne and the third son who's at Maester School, don't forget that it is Master Aemon.
Maester Aemon, exactly right. Very good. And he certainly was a fun part of the original series Game of Thrones. And, maybe this is a light spoiler. He is not in the second novella, but there is a chance, I think, a small chance we might see Maester Aemon in season 2 is all I'll say about that. Our good buddy Caroline wrote, I would give episode 5 9 out of 10 double C's.
Double C's?
Creased craniums. Oh, terrible. Caroline agrees that Prince Baelor had no choice but to fight for Dunk. I wholeheartedly agree with Mrs. Catfish. You kill a dog or cat or be cruel to things that are programmed not to fight back, and I am checked out of the show or movie. With a few exceptions. She did enjoy John Wick. Well, spoiler alert, so we know what happened there.
Okay,
She continues, no need for those images to live in my head and heart. I think we were talking about this last week, Catfish. Caroline says, I think Dunk would not have killed the twerp, even though it would have been a great addition by subtraction. Yes, the Seven Kingdoms are most definitely screwed without Baelor, but weren't they already screwed when the Targaryens failed to pass their purpose for living down the next generation to generation?
Ooh,
great point.
Whoa,
great.
Whoa. All right. And Pat, man, as we say, one of our OG supporters said, you gave episode 5 high marks while being dismissive of the flashback sandwich structure of the episode, particularly how it broke the momentum, Bubba's complaint, or how it wasn't compelling, Catfish's complaint. I've also heard complaints that the flashback was too long and prevented us from seeing more of the battle play out. I respect all that, but I feel that I, like Prince Baelor himself, must ride out in ill-fitting armor and fight for rightness against these scoundrelly shenanigan complaints.
Heck yeah.
I'll admit that I'd have to just assume some of the show's constraints. They want to end episode 4 with the reveal of Baelor volunteering to be the 7th Knight, and then end episode 5 with Baelor succumbing to head trauma, kind of making Dunk's victory a Pyrrhic one. I also support how the battle played out, very tightly focused on Dunk with just brief flashes of things happening around. This is consistent with how the battle plays out in the novella, and though it would have been cool to see how Lionel Baratheon and Robin Riesling somehow kept 3 Kingsguard neutralized, and Stefan Fossaway too. I think Raymond was the wingman for Baelor versus Maekar at some point, but I could be wrong about that. Although it would have been cool, I preferred just not knowing what was going on. I just want to make a side here that this, unlike everything else, every other comment Patman has made on anything, that he's admitting he prefers ignorance here. Okay.
Hey, now.
Part of my appreciation for this, Patman goes on, even though I've read the novella and should know better, yes, you should, with the larger part of the battle not in view, part of me was terrified that any moment a Kingsguard would ride up and skewer Dunk. This is keeping me on the edge of my seat. Dunk hitting the ground and blacking out, having an extended flashback, did little to break the momentum for me. In my head, the longer the flashback went on, the more worried I was someone that killed Dunk while he was blacked out.
No.
The flow of the flashback, he called it trash back here, which is what I would have called it. The flow of the flashback with Dunk having a bad time and the culminating with a tension-breaking get up from Sir Arlen into the nightmare of Aryans' flail smashing down on Dunk kickstarted the momentum back into high gear as far as I was concerned. Now, I know the story, but Mrs. Patman does not. She was sucked in by the flashback.
Oh.
So it might have not have been new information for Catfish. But Patman, it absolutely was. But I think it was good information for my lady. I will make a concession that the episode could have been just as long with the battle otherwise unchanged and some flashback time trimmed to have another minute or two with Team Dunk and get ready for the battle. Maybe give Beesbury a little more screen time since he was one member we had the least impression of. And since he gets killed, that feels like a missed opportunity to make us feel even worse. Hey, the teaser trailer for House of the Dragon Season 3 just dropped. We now need a Joffrey podcast frame-by-frame analysis.
Here we go.
That is X. Thank you so much, Patman.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Patman, Lady
Heck
Patman, as we call her.
Heck yeah. We love your feedback. Even though the podcast is over, send us more feedback. As we said, we're going to have a classic frame-by-frame teaser breakdown for Season 3 of House of the Dragon.
I'm telling Mother.
All right, Catfish, we're going to get to the spoiler section. Like I said, listeners, we're not going to really break down, this happens in Season 2, and this happens in Season 3. Instead, we're going to kind of go big picture, talk about things that currently haven't been written about, except in history books that we know are going to happen in, 40 years' time, when the show certainly will have been on for over a decade before it gets to any of these points. And this first part isn't really a spoiler at all, just as kind of a reality. So when George R.R. Martin wrote this first novella, the one that's my favorite here, this story here of the tournament at Ashford, he hadn't come up with a lot of the background in history. There wasn't such a thing as a Blackfire Rebellion when he wrote it, and so there's nothing in it. Yet, now, in this television series, you saw, there's a lot of these references to the Blackfire and the Rebellion, right? Why? Because George R.R. Martin, after he wrote this novella, kind of came up with this backstory, and he thought, this should be a part of this story. And for me, if anybody has seen J.K. Rowling's The Fantastic Beast movies, you go to the movies and you think, this is going to be a fun, silly adventure about, these fantastic beasts and catching them. And it's like a fantastic thing. But slowly, J.K. Rowling revealed that this wasn't going to be a story about a magical, fantastic beast. It was going to be a story about the evil wizard Grindelwald and the fight against him. And that kind of overtakes any of the fun, silly, fantastic beasts part of the story. And through 3 novellas, each of the next 2 novellas become more and more concerned with this Blackfire Rebellion, which quick explanation of Prince Baelor's grandfather made all his bastard children legitimate on his deathbed, and so there was a fight. Well, wait a minute. If I'm now a legitimate child, shouldn't I be the king as opposed to Baelor's dad? And it was a big thing. And the next 2 novellas, the next one a good bit, but the one after that have a lot to do with this rebellion. So does that scare you, Catfish, knowing that the Fantastic Beasts movies really moved away from Fantastic Beasts and instead got into this, almost world-building stuff?
Well, it's 2 things. I mean, one of the things I praised about this show is that even though we have a cast of characters that they're sort of stand-ins, as you said, they look and act like the Targaryens, the Baratheons. They all they act like the ones we've known before, so they're sort of a stand-in, so you get a quick idea of it. What I liked about it is, and it was part of my great ratings for episode 1, was you didn't have to know jack squat about what was going on, there's a lot. Why do we even need to know what's going on? I mean, even in Game of Thrones. I mean, think about Game of Thrones. there was not there was only a few things that you really needed to know that came out during the series, right?
Well, you did need to know about Robert's rebellion. Like you did need to know how we ended up at this place. Why people didn't like Jaime Lannister. Why Daenerys and Viserys wanted to get back. You did need to know that backstory. And for these next two stories, you do kind of need to know a whole lot more backstory, is all I'll say.
Well, but that's what I mean. There's a difference between like stuff that we needed to know and then like that came out as far as we slowly got hints until we find out who Jon Snow was. So stuff like that is sort of, there was a lot of sexposition, but again, the fun is these two characters.
Yeah.
And so let's stick with that, please, sweet Jesus.
Well, I think maybe the next season you'll think that, but like I said, the third novella is a lot about this Blackfire Rebellion. That's all I'll say. So now let's keep going on. So right. I mentioned that between the novellas, time passes, and because of Prince Baelor's death in this season, Egg moved up from 11th in line to the throne to 10th. Well, in between the first and second season, something happens, and if the novella is true, at the start of the second season, Egg will have already moved up to 7th in line for the throne.
Congratulations!
Well, I said Prince Valar won. Come on, he's champion of the week. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of movement. Certainly, you wonder if they'll show that on the show. The second novella, to me, is really light, so maybe they'll show some of these things that allowed Dunk to move up. But when you read the novella, it's just suddenly like, oh yeah, this happened, and these people who are ahead of Dunk in the line to ahead of Egg in the line to the succession passed. And so Egg will be 7th in line when season 2 starts.
I mean, definitely word gets around, for sure. So they'll find that out. Another thing that they might add to the second season is sort of the hunt for Egg.
Yeah, exactly. You wonder about that because let's talk about that. In the second novella, it's written heavily implied that Maker is fine with this, with his son hanging out with Dunk. It's not like, where's my boy? Where's my boy? In the second novella, there's a lot of hints that are like, Maker understands that, yeah, this is odd, but he's okay with it. So it'll be interesting if that stays true or not. Now we're going to have some prediction time with Catfish. Mm-hmm. So, all Catfish, right. Which characters, besides Dunk and Egg, that are here in this season, which characters appear in the next two novellas? Can you guess? Lionel Baratheon, Raymond Fossway. Who do you think appears in the next two novellas?
Oh boy, I think considering the hug, I think we're going to see more of Fossaway. Now, were you talking about the novellas or the show? Because I think they're going to find a way to bring back Lionel and Fossaway for season 2.
Catfish, I love that you went there. You didn't want to guess the puppet lady, Too Tall Tansel?
Oh, well, they did talk about that, but to me, that didn't seem that key. I mean, obviously, probably more important for Dunk than for me, for them to meet again.
Well, this is, hopefully, listeners, you consider a very light spoiler, but believe it or not, none of the characters from this first season appear in any of the other two novellas other than Dunk and Egg. That means Lionel Baratheon doesn't appear on the page, Raymond doesn't, Tansel Too Tall doesn't, Egg's father Maekor and his brothers Darren and Arion, they don't appear. None of these characters we met other than Dunk.
Now, do any of them from season 1 appear in the third one?
Nope.
And what about from the second to the third one?
Nope.
Okay, great.
So does that heartbreak you? Do you want to see Lionel and Raymond Fossaway again, or are you going to be okay if we'll never see him again?
I mean, listen, they turned Lionel from a guy who just showed up into a great, enjoyable character. They can do it again in season 2. I'm completely fine with that. I mean, it doesn't have to be that. I mean, as we know, if they're like the Incredible Hulk, you just every week you just move on.
That's right. They are a bit like the Incredible Hulk, that old series with Bill Bixby. Very good, Catfish. Okay, more predictions from Catfish. Now, this is very far in the future, so it won't be in the next 2 series, but only 4 people from Dunk's team of 7 survived. But 2 of those people who were the surviving members of Dunk's team of 7 are going to battle against each other in a future trial by combat. So, Catfish.
Okay, so I'm missing one. So we've got Lionel, we've got Fossaway, we've got Dunk.
And we've got the one-eyed maddest knight in all of Westeros.
Oh, I thought he was taken down. See, it would have been nice to just a little bit more battle to know what else went on here.
So which of those 4 in once again in many decades
then in that case I'm going to have to say in many decades. I mean, the Mad Knight doesn't look like he's going to last for like another week. But I would still go with him and Lionel Baratheon.
Well, you got one of them right.
Good.
Lionel Baratheon will be in a trial of 7. But if he's not against Riesling, who's he going to be against in a trial by combat against? Based on this episode, it may give you a hint.
But one of his own teammates, so then it has to be Fossaway. Dunk?
Yep.
Oh, man. Wait, it's going to be another trial by 7?
Another trial. No, it's a trial by combat.
Oh,
where
okay.
Dunk and Lionel Fossaway, where Dunk and Lionel Baratheon fight each other. Now, once again, that hasn't been written in any novella yet, but based on, the world history, we know in a couple decades, those 2 are going to fight against each other in a trial by combat. Whew.
So what you're saying is that basically because of the House of the Dragon exists and this series itself is going to get more complex simply because George R.R. Martin decided to write basically just a non-story history rather than finishing the story of Game of Thrones.
The Catfish, we said this was a non-spoiler spoiler section. That's right. Okay, Catfish, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Okay.
So, this is based, once again, not on novella or even the history books. This is based on some gaming things people have written. But someone here at the Tourney is going to later marry 13-year-old name day girl Gwyn Ashford, Lady Gwyn, who at the end said, Dunk, I don't blame you. I don't blame you for ruining my 13th name day. What they did to you was wrong. Which of the characters on this show, Catfish, do you imagine Lady Gwyn could be marrying down the line?
I'm picking Daeron.
Oh, that is a good guess, but wrong.
Oh, no.
Who you got? Who would Lady Gwyn be with? And you are really probably not going to think of this person, is all I can say.
Egg.
A bit older than Egg and Darren.
Arian?
Older.
Oh, no. Not Maker.
Probably younger. Definitely younger. Likes tug of war.
Oh, Lionel Baratheon?
This is, once again, it is not from any what you would call normal a bit of information from George R.R. Martin, but there are hints of who does Lionel Baratheon marry. It's rumored that he finally settles down with Gwyn Ashford. A little January, December romance for you, Catfish. Can you believe it?
Is this after Lady Gwyn Ashford has a horrible accident and loses one of her fingers?
Catfish, she's not going to be the 3 fingers. How could you?
Yeah. She's the new 4-fingered girl.
Oh, come on. Finally, I'll say, listeners, that these next 2 novellas, people love them, but the reason why I think this first one is the best is it doesn't, number one, deal with all this crazy Blackfire Rebellion backstory and kind of forward story, which I think muddles the next 2 short stories or novellas. And it also is, to me, it feels like this one's the first and best example of Dunk and Egg being a pair. They kind of get separated in both of the next two novellas. So we're going to see how that goes down. Hopefully they'll be great. We'll have one in a year. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on it. If you want more spoiler talk, let us know. We can go deeper into this stuff. Again, hopefully you haven't found any of this too spoilery. It certainly shouldn't have spoiled any of the next two
Well,
series.
also, again, I mean, if you had described kind of what happens in the first novella, you would have missed a lot of the flavor that we got from the show itself. So
100%,
hopefully
100%.
the show will again manage to bring some flavor, just the way we do every week. Bubba, how can they reach out to you?
You can find me on social media with my handle Fitten Trim. That's FITTENTRIM at Fitten Trim on social media.
And you can hit me up at G to the Man. That's GEETOTHEMAN on Instagram and Blue Sky. And we will talk to you next year on
The Joffrey of Podcasts.
I'm telling Mother.
Sorry, not next year. Like 3 months.
3 months, exactly right.